Well, hello, happy Wednesday. So to piggyback where we stopped on home inspection yesterday, today we'll talk about appraisal. So what happens next after home inspection typically, doesn't have to be quite in this order, but this is typically what happens. Once the home inspection is done, if you are lucky enough to have the home inspection, the next thing is the appraisal is ordered, and the appraisal is paid for by the buyer, and the buyer owns the appraisal. So it's your appraisal as a buyer, and who orders the appraisal is your lender. So basically how that works is once the home inspection is completed, the lender will typically get the green light from your realtor or from you saying, okay, it's time to go ahead and order the appraisal. The lender then contacts the appraisal company or however that works behind the scenes. I don't do that, so I'm not involved in that end of it, but they don't get to pick what appraisal does it. They don't get to pick the company. They're kind of in a lottery from what I understand, and it's just whoever's next in the line to do the appraisal, they come out and do it. So they don't have any pull or say in who is coming out to do that appraisal. The appraiser comes out to check the value of the home. They're making sure that whatever the home is in contract for, that's how much it can sell for, and that's how much that they can give the loan for. So if once that's done, it can take up to a week, maybe a little longer, to get that back to the lender through the underwriter. And then the lender says, okay, good, we've got the appraisal back. They come back to the buyer and say, the appraisal's back, everything's good. And then that's when we typically get the clear to close, or we're able to move forward with the closing. So if that doesn't happen, if the house is in contract, again, I'm going to throw out my $100,000. If the house is in contract for $100,000 and the appraisal comes back at $95,000, we have a problem, right? The appraiser is basically saying, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you $100,000 value on this home. I'm only giving $95,000. So then what happens? Well, several things can happen at that point. The seller can sell the house to the buyer for $95,000, and or the buyer can come up with an extra $5,000, which typically they can't, especially if it is $100,000, because they're in most cases going to be a first-time home buyer and probably don't have $5,000 laying around, nor do they want to pay $5,000 more than what an appraiser is saying the house is worth. If I was representing a buyer, I would not encourage my buyer to pay money or pay more than what a house is worth. I don't understand why you would do that. That's like going to a car lot and buying a car for more than what it's worth, knowing that you're overpaying and you're going to be upside down. It's the same exact thing when you buy a house. Why would you encourage someone to do that? So that's my opinion. That's how I do business. I want my buyers to be able to call me in 6 months. If God forbid they lose their job or something happens in their personal life and they need to sell their home, I want them to be able to call me and say, Delene, I need to sell, and I need to be able to sell that for them and know that they have not overpaid for it and they can still sell their home, at least at what they paid for it. So in most cases, the ones that I have represented and sold in the last year or whatever, the seller has come down on the price to satisfy that appraisal that has been cut, and we have moved forward to close. So those appraisals do get cut sometimes, and some are for good reasons, some are not. It just depends on the appraiser. Sometimes the appraisers are ridiculous, sometimes they're not, so it just depends. The market's been a little wackadoodle, as you probably know, so sometimes you'll see houses that are very inflated, and they absolutely should not be listed and or in contract for what they are, and they need to be cut. And then other times there are absolutely comparable sales showing that, yeah, it should definitely sell for this, and this makes sense, and the appraiser still cuts it. So it's validated. So it just absolutely depends on the appraiser and maybe what kind of a day they're having. And there's nothing we can do to influence that other than, as a real estate agent, we can give comparables to the appraiser as a listing agent and show them, show them what we came up with when we listed the home and how we came up with those numbers, and give them our best comparables that we used. So hopefully that is helpful information and explains the appraisal process. I don't think I left anything out. Some lenders require you pay the appraisal fee out of pocket. Some allow it to be rolled into the closing costs for the buyer. It just depends on the lender and who you're using, or the bank. So as a buyer, you'll have closing costs, and sometimes you'll have to pay that fee out of pocket. But like I said, other times you'll be able to include that in your closing costs. So if you have a seller paying your closing costs as a buyer, you may not have to pay that at all out of pocket. It may just come out of those seller proceeds. So I think that is all that I wanted to talk about today in regard to appraisal. There is more regarding appraisal, but it's more on the seller side, so I'm going to hit that at a later time. So as not to confuse the issue, I wanted to talk more about buyer, since that's kind of where I was headed yesterday with buyer home inspection. As per the usual, if you have questions, you know how to reach me. Absolutely beautiful day today. The sun is shining again. So grateful for that. Beautiful, beautiful. It's warm. The snow is melting. I'm looking around, and there's not a lot of snow on the ground today. So that's what it's doing in our neck of the woods. I told you, it's Al Roker, by the way. My friend pointed that out to me because I referenced that in one of my videos. I look out the door and I'm like, oh, what's it doing today? Because I'm not a detailed and or reading type person to see what's going on. I just look out the window. I don't look at the weather forecast either. So anyway, workout wise, I always end on that note. I did hot yoga yesterday. That went well. Always does. I needed it. I was very sore, so that helped. And then tonight I teach my class as usual. And then I have legs. I have a leg lift workout tonight, which I always love and hate at the same time. Legs are so hard. Yeah, if you lift, you know that legs are like really, really hard, biggest muscle group, and sometimes can make you feel like you're gonna vomit. However, always feels so good once you're done, until you can't walk upstairs, then that happens. Hope you have a great day. Drop me a line, let me know what you're doing. I might see you at class tonight, hopefully I do. And I hope you guys have a great day. See you later, bye.